Most wide receivers completely misunderstand what it actually takes to get them recruited out of high school. And majority of these guys are focused on 7v7, dropping their 40 time, finding some recruiting strategy or email template, all to get them noticed. And from someone who was named first team All-State twice, was named All-Pennsylvania team with 4 and 5 stars, received multiple Division I offers, committed D1, and played as a true freshman, I've learned the system inside and out. And the truth about exposing this information is that you might just look at some of your favorite coaches, mentors, and creators a little bit differently. And it's not necessarily because they're bad people. You'll just come to find out a lot of them don't actually know what it takes to move the needle, or their focus truly isn't to maximize your potential. So in this video, I'm gonna be giving you a full breakdown on the actual logic behind recruiting and film, what coaches are actually evaluating, how to capitalize on those evaluation standards, actionable things that you could fix right away, and major mistakes that are killing majority of athletes' chances without them even realizing it. Most receivers know film is very important, but almost nobody looks at it for what it really is. You have to understand that your film is not just highlights on your huddle profile. Your film's a trust building asset, but going deeper into the word asset, if you don't understand, an asset is something of value that contributes to the overall worth of an individual, and it can be intangible. So it's not just your car, it's not just your house, it can be skills, and it's the skills that you present on film to coaches. And the way you increase your overall worth is by moving up on the recruiting board when coaches are out and looking for a recruit to actually offer. Again, that is what your investment returns are, the offer. And aside from just the athletic scholarship money, a college is what opens the doors and gives you those opportunities for future jobs. So it also, in that regard, dictates your income. And that's the first thing athletes get wrong. They're not viewing their film for what it really is, which is a trust building asset. Just like my social media, you probably were directed from my Instagram. These videos you're seeing right here as I'm circling them, these are all assets. This YouTube channel that I have, every video that I post on it, these videos are assets. This video that you guys are watching right now, it's an asset. All to gauge an audience's attention. In this specific scenario, I am gauging your attention, which you are likely a wide receiver who is serious about playing college football and serious about developing the right way. And I'm giving you guys free value. That's why smart coaches post drills for free. It's why creators post their insights for free. And that's why I'm making this video for free. There's a trade-off. And as you listen to me more and see how I think and see my actual face, you also begin to feel like you know me. And that trust that I'm building with you right now, it builds over time. And the reason I'm telling you this is because that's not me scamming anyone or playing tricks. That's just the trade-off of how value actually works. We can see right here, this is me creating a resource. That's where the I is. What you guys extract from this resource is the information that you guys choose to extract. What you walk away from and remember that I told you in this video. And as a result, or just naturally, you're giving me your attention. The ultimate goal of this in the bigger picture of this is, as you guys listen to me for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, then let's bump it up to 1 hour. Once you listen to me for 2 hours and 7 hours, as this cycle is going on and you're watching more and more videos and consuming more and more content, over time, I am achieving, or I am trying to achieve, to build trust with the right type of individual, ultimately for them to want to work with me. You have to understand that your film is actually working the exact same way. I forgot to record this segment in the video, but as you guys are posting your film, you're having college coaches see your film and you're using it as an asset. So they begin to trust you. They learn to trust you. That's how you move up on the board. That's how you leverage your film. That's how I'm leveraging my assets. The same principle applies, even though it is slightly different reasonings behind why you're pushing that asset out. Knowing this, now think about college coaches like potential clients, and I'm being serious here. Coaches are actively looking for studs. It's not your job to convince coaches that good players are valuable. They already know that. What your job actually is to show them through film that you're a player that they could trust, that your asset actually has value, and in short, that you are worth a scholarship. And the way they make that decision is through what they evaluate on tape. So before we even talk about recruiting strategy, DMs, camps, exposure, and any of that, You need to understand what your film is actually communicating. Because if your tape is building trust with coaches, everything gets really easy. It really does, guys. And if your tape creates doubt, everything else will get harder for you. When college coaches are turning on your film, they're not looking for entertainment. They're evaluating projection and they're asking one simple question: can this kid play here? That's it. They're not just watching catches. They're not just looking for flashy plays. They're not watching your tape like a fan watches highlights on Instagram. They're actively projecting you forward from high school to thinking if you could actually make it and play and be in their room at the college level. And the word that matters most here is predictability. The ability to be predicted is what it means. Coaches want to be able to look at your film and think he could actually play and not have doubt. Not boring predictability. I mean trained, repeatable, reliable execution. The type of questions they'll ask is, can this kid do things that consistently show up against better competition? Can he be trusted on timing when he's supposed to be the fourth read on the backside running a dig route and he needs to properly time up that route? Can he create separation in ways that translate to the next level? The DBs are going to be 10 times better. Can he handle detail? Can he be where he's supposed to be? And can he overall finish the play, finish hands-on when he's not getting the ball thrown his way? These are the things these coaches are evaluating about you. Before I break down the actual evaluation buckets, I want to clear something up. Athleticism is not one of those buckets, and speed matters, explosiveness matters, jumping ability matters, obviously. But athleticism is one of the easiest things to see, and coaches see speed quickly. What they're actually studying is how your athleticism is applied. Speed enhances skill, but it does not replace it. The thing is, I'm not saying don't train speed, jumping ability, and athleticism. What I am saying is, if you have speed without control, you are simply just a good athlete. If you have speed with efficiency, understanding leverage, timing, and control, now you're becoming a legit wide receiver. Couple that with nutritional guidance, mentorship, and additional structure, and suddenly you're blowing the competition out of the water. That's why you'll see kids with obvious athletic traits not get recruited how they think they should. That's the key word here. Think they should. But raw traits alone do not build trust. Refined traits do. Now let's get into the first and the biggest bucket, which is separation, the right kind. And I need to be clear here because this word gets abused a lot. Separation is not just running by someone. Separation is not the DB tripping. Separation is not busted coverage. Separation is not just being more athletic than a lower level corner. That's what 99% of the population considers separation, funny enough. Real separation is intentional, and it is created through leverage and control, and it's manipulating the defender. Here's what a good example of separation looks like from my personal highlight film from my senior year of high school on a fade route. Let's just watch the clip through first, and then I'll explain what about this actually makes a good rep. We'll talk about a bad rep after. All right, so some keys that we want to talk about right here that make a good route is things like moving the DB's midline, forcing the defender's hips to flip, threatening vertical space, stacking when appropriate, winning at the top of the route, and creating usable space on timing. And I did some of those things here, as we could see. So off the line, I need to clarify that it is not easy to win a fade route when the DB's off. They knew I was a fade guy in high school, and this DB's a little bit inside. So what I did here that initially made this route good was off the line, I'm not just running straight. I'm actually attacking and running right at the DB as we play it through here. We can see that I'm actually running at him to attack that space. So what that forced this DB to do is he initially lined up around here. He backed up a little bit. He felt threatened and he moved further inside. So initially it's not just me running. I think I was more athletic than the majority of the DBs, but I knew how to attack leverage and create that space. So because I did that, this DB moved inside, and although his hips did not flip open inside, which would have been the best case scenario, still I attacked it, which caused him to move inside. And then right here, I'm putting my foot in the ground, and now it's a race to the outside. You see this DB, he's trying to cut off this space because although I am slightly behind him, he's in panic mode because he realized that I forced him to come inside. Now I just have this room to come outside of him, stack him over top, which is what I ended up doing. And he's in panic mode trying to race down. I am over top of him. You see here, I use this hand. It's a little bit of hand fighting, but right now he is on pretty even with me hip to hip. And then eventually I fight to stack him on my back hip, and now this is a great position. This DB is behind me. I know it's a little blurry on the screen right now, but I have the advantage. And what makes it really good here and the traits that got me to Division I level was I didn't just go and just catch this ball. I actually purposely pinned him, as you watch here. So I pin here. I'm waiting for this ball, and then at the last second right here, he's falling because I pinned him. And at the last second, I actually accelerate off, and it's a nice and easy catch. I allowed my quarterback to fade me out into that actual back pylon, and the DB ends up here on the ground looking stupid, looking at the ref, complaining for a flag. Again, to recap, I'm attacking the vertical space. As I move him inside further, I stack on top of him, pin him, let the QB throw me out. Beautiful rep. Now I'm going to show two examples here of bad situation that still is on my huddle tape to this day, but let's watch this clip through here. I'm this wide receiver at the top of the screen, and I'll explain this one and then go over the next rep after. And yes, I made a good catch. It doesn't matter at the end of the day. The main issues with this is, number one, obviously this was coverage being blown. The defender here was completely lost. I don't know if they were trying to do cover 2 or whatever it may be, but I'm running off the ball here. They know I'm a deep threat. This corner's staring at the quarterback like a complete idiot. Again, this corner looks like he belongs in Pee-wees, but at the same time, he's an idiot, and he couldn't make it any easier. I'm full striding. He's staring at the quarterback, and all it leads to is I'm blowing past him. The safety back here is also horrible because he doesn't know or isn't aware of the biggest threat on the field, which I'm 3 inches taller than all these guys, and I'm streaking down the field. He's looking straight at the quarterback. That's horrible defense. And even though he did adjust and turned around, and I'm catching this over him, this is just comes down to my feet being here and his feet being here, and me just simply being more athletic than somebody. Yes, this looks cool. This could be something that could be posted on ESPN or something of that nature, but when a college coach is watching this, they're not impressed by this. Maybe this part, they see that I have good ball skills, but this is a bad example of separation. Now, let me show you one more rep, which you might really not consider a bad example, but I'll explain why. And before we get into watching it, this is actually the first clip that I put on my huddle highlight because I was so confident that it looked so great. People on Instagram would be like, wow, that's such a great catch. I thought it was so cool. I put it first on my huddle highlight to show coaches what I was doing really well, and I did something really well in this clip, but separation was not one of them. Let's watch the clip through first here. Just completely over the back of his head, but all right, so let's get into why this is actually a really horrible clip, especially to be putting it first. Again, going back on what we were saying before about attacking DB's leverage, causing their hips to flip, really pinning down space. I really didn't do any of that here. And I know this is a goal line fade. I've been showing fade routes to compare it evenly, but as we watch this here, I was initially coming off the ball knowing the DB was inside. Again, these people knew that I was a fade guy in high school. This DB's hips were already open here because he was just expecting me to run a fade. He was completely correct. And I ran at him a little bit, but the first things I did here was I was choppy with my feet. I wasn't attacking or eating up any space. Horrible. And although I did run inside a little bit towards the DB, you can't really tell here because it is a little blurry, but I ran inside. I stuck this foot in the ground way too early. I should have really attacked this space, gave him a jab inside, and then kind of pinned him down. So I stuck that foot in the ground early, which allowed the DB to then track on my hip. And although I did have a little bit of separation here because of that stick, it wasn't nearly good. I need to be pinning this DB so I give all this room to my quarterback to the pylon to actually throw me, which for a visual here, I should be here on the DB. The DB should be pinned, and I should be giving all this room back here for the quarterback to throw me. But in this case, I'm already drifting myself out towards this pylon. Regardless that I made the catch, it is not a good habit to have, especially at the college level. And the part that I was saying is really good here is, yes, I did really good of going up and just like making this look like a video game. I'll just be honest. I'm not going to be humble about it. This is a disgusting catch. I showed coaches that I had ball skills here, but look at where I am. I'm forcing myself because I didn't pin that DB down to catch a ball right here. And I'm forcing myself to actually toe tap, which is, I mean, it was cool that I got it down and I got it and whatever. The ref's like slipping here. He's looking stupid. He's like, oh, did that just happen? But the point is, this whole rep was a disaster from the start. I'm stuttering, barely attacking space. I stuck my foot on the ground too early, didn't pin the DB, made a decent catch. But that is a horrible example of separation. I'm being dead honest. And just because it looks cool on Instagram, it can get posted on, again, Max Preps, whatever this is, ESPN. There's a difference between real football and what actually projects you to college and looking cool on tape. Look at how tough I felt. I was sitting there, I thought I was like a superhero, but it's not a good clip. Now, before we move into the second bucket here, I just want to reiterate that there's a big difference between that first rep and those second 2 reps. And it's not that those second 2 reps can't be put in your highlight tape. It's just the first rep, you could clearly tell it was purposeful. There was a reason that I got separation. It wasn't accidental separation. Some other notes that I have down here is it's not fake space. You can't fake it. College coaches can trust that what I'm doing can actually translate to the college level compared to those second clips. Again, I said, I'm not saying these clips can't go on your tape at all. That's not what I'm saying. But the key here is there needs to be purpose behind your routes. This is why I preach what I preach. Athleticism is important, but there's a difference between someone who's college ready and just feels like they were athletic. And if you're watching this and trying to apply it immediately, truly ask yourself, when I get open, do I know why I get open? Was it because I was attacking leverage? Was it saving space? Was it my tempo? Was it my body control? Was it me attacking blind spots correctly? Or did the rep just happen to work out? And that difference, it matters a lot. And that difference can be the difference between getting a scholarship and being a D3 player or a JUCO player. The second bucket is route efficiency and control. This bucket is less about the defender and more about you. Can you move efficiently? Can you get in and out of breaks cleanly? Can you stay on time or have good timing in your routes? Can you eliminate wasted movement? Because college offenses are timing based. If you're drifting, rounding, taking extra steps, or constantly being late, coaches will notice that fast. The first rep we're going to take a look at is going to be a good rep by Marvin Harrison Jr. He's really good at being very efficient within your routes. Of course, you look at the top route runners as well, like Devontae Adams, Stephon Diggs, and guys of that nature, guys of that caliber, JSN. It could be any part of the route, right? Release, mid-route, top of route. So let's just take a look here at this rep and move forward from there. Boom. So right here, what we see initially when he's coming off the line is, yes, he did kind of jitter his feet a little bit right here for no reason, but I'm not going to critique NFL guys. What he did here is he pushed forward, and all he did was squared up with the DB and just had a nice split in the ground. One move, and boom, running right to his spot. And in this situation, he didn't necessarily have to come back as much because of how much space there is out here. Normally, you'd want to pin down on the DB a little bit more so you're not closing that space, which he still could have done a little bit, but in this scenario, he did a pretty good job of just giving the DB one move and boom, just finishing the rep. Let's take one more look at an example of good efficiency, and let's go over a couple bad ones. Now we're going to take a look here at a rep by Cooper Kupp. We're going to watch it through first, and then we will explain after. Absolutely disgusting. So, again, pretty much just clarifying, route efficiency is basically anything that's threatening vertical properly. You're dropping your hips cleanly, getting in and out of your breaks in 3 steps or less, and things of that nature. You're not rounding your routes. You're staying on the line of the route, and you're getting to your spot on good timing. So we see Cooper Kupp right here pushing vertical really well, and this guy is super elite. If you watch his eyes, he's looking like he's reading a defense. He did a really good job here of selling vertical. His whole body language is there, and what that causes the DB to do is force his hips vertical. And what he does here, boom, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. This is full speed, getting in and out of a break, getting right to his spot on the sideline, even comes back negative a little bit for the ball, and then again tries to push forward, vertical, gain some ground instead of just going out of bounds. Now let's take a look at a bad example. And we're going to take a look at me here. We're coming back on my high school tape, and I will clarify why this is a bad rep after. Again, there's going to be much worse clips, and to be honest, this isn't really a bad rep overall. It's what I did leading up to the break that actually made it bad. But let's still watch it through and I'll explain after. Boom, so not horrible. But not great either. So the reason this was bad was, yes, I didn't get in and out of my break in 3 steps, and I got out in 4, I believe. I think I used the wrong power foot, which isn't good. Of course, comparing to the NFL guys, those guys are primarily 3 steps. Sometimes they even are 4 and 5 steps. 3 is the primary focus. Obviously, it's the goal every time. But what was really bad here is I didn't also push vertical full speed. Like right here, I'm starting to short stride a little bit. And also, you never want to burst in towards the DB. You'd want to actually eat up space and then burst out to get his hips flipped open towards the sideline. So when you break on a curl and you're coming back this way, the DB's facing the sideline over here. So I actually came up, took a step inside, which doesn't do anything. It just closes this space between the DB guarding this tight end over here and myself, which isn't good. And rising up, left, right, left, or I think it was right, left, right here. Watching my feet. It was right power foot, which it should have been left, right, the left foot getting out here, but I did right, left, left. And I did do a good job here of chasing back downhill to get this ball and catch it away from my body. So while this DB's flying here looking like Superman, I caught it, and I did roll over top of him for the first. But overall, I wasn't pushing vertical enough. As we see here, I was not pushing vertical enough, bursted the wrong way, and I'm kind of slowing down and got in and out of this break in 4 steps. So believe it or not, it's actually hard to find a clip of rounding routes from high school on dig routes or anything, because obviously no one's marking down when people are rounding routes. But let's take a look here at Jamar Chase and him running this out route and talk about what would have made it bad that a lot of high schoolers do, and even college guys. So boom, getting forward here, going out, and he's getting back negative, which is really good. So this is what you would want to do ideally if there's a DB here. Chase back downhill to the football so then the DB can't cut you off, and that would be good. So the simplest way to put it, and the best way to make this bad in this case, is a lot of high schoolers just end up rounding this out and making it flat here, or even rounding the route like this, as you see my mouse right here. So that's just kind of the best way to explain it. Of course, watching one of the best route runners in the game, he's getting back downhill, but just staying flat here or something like that. Even though you're staying flat, you're still technically rounding your route, because a DB, if he were to stay flat here, could easily just undercut you right here as you're going flat here and take that for a pick 6. And the reason that this is important is super simple, and it's because if you can't run clean routes at the high school level and actually do this the proper way, then how do you expect college coaches to actually trust you at the college level? You're going to be going against a better level of competition, and efficiency is what builds trust. And if coaches don't know that you don't know how to run routes, or they know you don't know how to run routes, or don't know if you know how to run routes, then you're not going to be able to be trusted by college coaches to play at that next level. And the next bucket here, which is the third, is tempo and body control. And this is one of the most underrated parts of playing receiver. Tempo is not just running fast. Tempo is the ability to change speeds within the route while staying in control. Elite receivers are not just moving fast, they're moving with rhythm. They understand when to actually press leverage of the DB, when to be patient, when to gear down, and when to re-accelerate. Now let's look at this route here by Keenan Allen. Tempo is one of those things, before we get into the good and bad example, that is the least trainable, and this is one of the more traits that you could pick up or basically learn by watching film and experimenting yourself. There are certain things you can train, and there are certain things that are more natural ability and just awareness. Some guys have a little bit more ability to bring tempo, and some guys don't. So looking at this route here, doing a little whip shake by Keenan Allen, and boom. So this is a really good example again here, because he's going slow to fast very well. He's breaking down, giving a little quick burst, and boom, he's causing the DB to think he's going opposite, and he's very good with his tempo. He's not just rushing it to the point where it feels like he's not actually going this way. He's able to time it up very well. So again, for some routes and some things, it's going to be harder to find bad examples necessarily. So I don't think I'm actually going to be able to locate, or I haven't been able to locate, a bad example of tempo, but it would come with anything like just rushing, maybe not getting your feet in the ground at the same time on a split release and you're trying to rush it out, or you're rushing your jab and you're not actually moving that midline, or even doing the exact route Keenan Allen just did, but he's not adding that tempo in, so he's just rushing it and he never sells one way or another properly. It's the ability to go slow to fast and accelerate and decelerate while manipulating and controlling the DB. And a note here before we move forward, the best receivers always look calm and in control, and that's a really good signal of tempo. I wouldn't worry about it too much for your personal highlight tape unless you're a slot who's running a lot of those short routes that involve a lot of tempo. For the next evaluation bucket, which is 4, we're going to be talking about consistency, because a lot of guys can have 1 or 2 flashy plays, but coaches who are actually serious about you are going to look further. And it says here, and it's true, this is where a lot of players are losing consistency. 1 flashy rep from you does not mean anything. If you have a 1-minute highlight reel, that's not telling coaches anything. If you only have, or if you have 1 really impressive play and then the next 3 reps are average, lazy, or sloppy, coaches are going to see that immediately. And the next question they're asking is, can he do this on Saturday? Can this player do this every Saturday? Not just once, not when everything's just going right for you, not only against weak competition. Can he do this over and over again? So the best example that I have for you guys is, let's just take a look at a couple plays from my highlight tape. Let's talk through them as we're going through. So here, again, I don't recommend this. I was already committed, so I was trying to show off, but my first play, boom, I'm blocking. I clearly dominate the rest. We've already talked about this clip before. I thought this was one of my better clips, so you can clearly tell I'm blocking. I have athletic ability. Next clip up here. Again, I'm not saying this is recommended order, but catching over 2 kids, right? I was a fade guy in high school. That's what I was primarily recruited for. I would not recommend doing that. Mentioned this before. Again, not a good rep, just drifting immediately. These are the things that I know now that I wish I knew earlier. But from watching my tape here, right here, being double teamed, getting past this guy, this is really just poor defense, but having ball skills, you could tell there's just a different caliber and different level of player that you are watching. Again, I have a lot of things that I will critique on my own film and what clips I would have put first and this and that, but skip forward to 5 minutes and 19 seconds here, and the next clip's that curl. We looked at it, pretty good clip. Skip forward to this random clip right here at, who knows, 6 minutes and 53 seconds, toe tap. Like, can a coach just go to a random clip right here? And this is 7 minutes into my highlight reel. Shrug someone off, have a good break, rain game, toe tap, coming back to the ball. Can you do that? If you can't just click on random times and find big plays, find you making big plays in your clip, then you're not that guy. It's pretty simple. I'm not going to dive too much further into this. And the next bucket is football IQ and trust. And this is huge because a lot of playing time comes down to trust, way more than athletes want to admit, or they really even know. And trust does show up all over your tape, not just when the ball is in the air. So it can be when the ball's in the air and you understanding leverage, understanding coverage, attacking it properly, maybe noticing that the corner's dropping down and it's cover 2 and the safety's rolling over top of you. So you sit down in that cover 2 hole so you're able to catch that hole shot from the quarterback. Or it's something as simple as just blocking your ass off so college coaches can trust you to play at the next level. You want to put blocking clips in there. You want to show that you're not too proud to put your body on the line. So here's one good example right here. This is me double blocking with a tight end when I was out on a wing and just absolutely obliterating the DB, showing I'm willing to get down. Here's another good example right here. And guys, all this comes down to is effort, right? Blocking, 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 blocking. It's what coaches want to see. That's what they love. They want to see you're willing to actually put your body on the line. And again, one more quick example right here. I'm already blocking 10, 20, 30 yards downfield here. Wide receiver, running backs running there, and boom, something like this. Hands up, just being a team guy, really helping your team accelerate, making smart plays, not having a blind side block. And as this plays here, I just want to clarify, again, there's not really too many bad examples of IQ and trust because kids mostly aren't putting it on their tape. But examples of this would be like if it's cover 2 and you're clearly just blowing by the corner and not sitting in a hole, depending on what level of high school football you're playing at, and just having stupid plays on your tape or plays that show that you're not actually a team player and you're not actually willing to get down and dirty. Those are examples of negative things that you wouldn't want to necessarily put on your highlight. But I will say highlights are more about the positives and what you should put on it than the negatives, because you just fill it up with the positives by nature, eliminating most of the negatives. And one more note here, guys. A coach might like your talent, but if he doesn't trust you, he still won't play you. This is something I wrote down while I was scripting this out. That's why this bucket matters so much. Trust determines your playing time. So now let's get into the next bucket. The last bucket is finish. This is ball skills that you have, the ability to adjust to a throw, be able to finish the play, finishing through contact, not willingly stepping out of bounds. So if you're catching the ball and turning upfield, not willingly just stepping out. My college coach hated that. Again, your ability to track the ball naturally. Can you secure the catch and become efficient, get upfield, get vertical after that? And will you finish hands-on even if you don't have the ball in your hands? The ability to finish the play and be a team player. So let's look at 2 clips by me. Again, a blocking clip, just being able to finish hands-on, double team with the tight end, finishing over top, and just being a good teammate. And this is a good example as well. Just finishing the play, showing that I'm going to go get that football and have grit, just get back up immediately, get the team rowdy, get the team going. Looking at this clip here as well, I believe this is a defensive play, showing that I'm willing to make big plays and just finish the play overall. And let's look at this rep here as well. One more. This is a really good example of like grit, I guess you could say, effort coming up, making a good play on the quarterback, showing I'm willing to make those plays, and I'm that type of player that a college coach would want on their team because I'm actually ending the play either with the ball in my hands or making a tackle, whatever that may be. It's a positive, and you are finishing on a high note every single play. Nothing lazy, nothing just stepping out of bounds, nothing, not like a sissy tackle or anything of that nature. And an important note here, touchdowns do not automatically mean that you're recruitable. A lot of athletes think because they scored, a rep is good. Not always, as you saw prior. Some of the good catches that I made that you might have considered a good rep if you were an outsider and you didn't have this knowledge prior. And all you really want to put on film is repeatable skills, but more specifically, repeatable traits that actually carry over to that next level. Now let's actually get into a little bit of a self-film audit now that we talked a little bit more about good and bad reps, and actually make this practical, because if this video only gives you theory, it's incomplete. And what's the point of me even saying, let me break up the film, show you what's good, show you what's bad, if you can't actually apply it? Then what's the point? So here's something you could actually do immediately after watching this, or you could even pause the video right now and just open your tape and audit it rep by rep. For every rep, ask yourself these 5 questions. Did I create real separation? Or did the rep just work out because the DB slipped, coverage busted, or was I just more athletic. You may be more athletic sometimes, but did you win just purely because you're running by somebody, or did you actually apply technique? Was my route efficient and on time? Meaning, did I stay clean, or did I round drift or waste steps? Obviously, we're looking for the clean part. Did I manipulate leverage? Okay, this is more of the attacking a blind spot, forcing a reaction, actually being able to control the defender based off actionable things that you did. Steps, moves, not that the DB just randomly did it. You actually caused him to do that. Did I finish the rep strongly? Again, blocking, catching naturally, finishing through contact, and complete the play on a positive note. And again, would this translate against better competition? This is the difference between just highlights and actual projection. And the honest truth is highlights can make almost anybody just look good. And coaches are not looking to just be impressed by your highlight. Coaches are actively looking for reasons to trust what they're seeing so they could actually imagine you and project you forward in your college career. So now that you know what coaches are actually evaluating, let's structure your film around that, because even if you have good reps, if your tape is organized poorly, you're still making the coach's job harder than it needs to be. And that most definitely matters. Your tape needs to be, it says should, your tape needs to be structured intentionally, because you have to realize if a coach is seeing bad plays first or whatever, they're just going to swipe. So you need to put your best plays first. That leads us into order of film. So this is the opening section. You want to start with your strongest 3 to 5 reps. If you have really good reps that are 5 in a row, put them first. You want to put your best rep number 1. Again, I told you in high school, the one we watched earlier, I thought that was my best rep. And although I did some things wrong, I still showed athleticism and that I could actually potentially translate to the college level. And what sold it was the rest of the tape beyond there. That was kind of my wow moment. It's not always just your craziest catches, it's your strongest reps. Like I said, they do want to be wow moments to catch a coach's attention. You want them to be like, wow, this kid does not look like everybody else. Those are usually the ones that show clean separation, route control, and something that translates immediately. You want the first few clips to make the coach think, okay, this kid can actually move and actually play or has potential. And then beyond that, you want to start layering in variety. You want to show slants, digs, curls, comebacks, go balls, releases, yards after catch, which is yak. And if it's strong, a blocking rep like I had in my clip. Something I want to note here is if you go and watch my tape, it's super easy to look me up in high school. I got recruited, but I limited myself because I believe that just because I can catch a go ball and I had really good ball skills, that would get me to the next level. And it did, but I barely made it. And I would have had more opportunities if I mixed in a little bit more of this variety earlier on. What you're doing is building the case that you're not a one-trick player, like my film kind of almost did show that I was. Didn't necessarily do it, but I almost fell victim to that. You need to show that you're a real receiver. If you do want a wide receiver film guide cheat sheet as well, check the description below. I'm going to put a link to claim that as you're going through and editing this. My suggestion to you right now is, as we're going through these actionable steps, most definitely pause the video, pull up your film, maybe on your phone, or if you're watching this on your phone, pull up your film on Huddle on your computer and actively edit this as we're going through the rest of this video and as we're going through the cheat sheet, so you could actually apply it instead of just hearing this and having it be something that you never come back to and never do. So now moving forward into editing rules, here are the simple rules for editing. You want no music. Again, coaches are watching your tape on mute. They don't care, okay? This is an Instagram highlight reel. You want to start the clip before the snap. So what that means is right before the play starts, you want to highlight yourself, nothing more. You don't want 5 seconds running and then you highlight yourself and then the play starts. It should be the second before you take off from the snap. It's highlighting yourself, and then whatever, if it's like 2 seconds that the huddle highlight thing is going, where it's like pointing at you, let it be, and then it should go off the play starting immediately, and it's ending right as you're done catching the ball or the play is over. So also you want to screen record the film cleanly. So after you do all of this, like I said, you want to put it on your X. After you chop this all up, this is something to do later on. Screen record the final film and pin it on your X. So again, highlight yourself once. Don't over edit anything. Keep everything tight and clean. And make sure the coach can actually follow you in the rep. Your job is to make the evaluation easy. The easier film is to evaluate, the better. You should not have a coach trying to look for you and guess where you're at or which player on the field that you are. You're ruining your chances. Now, if you already have a highlight tape, here's a simple way to improve it immediately. So as I'm going through these steps, you might want to pause it and actually do it to your highlight tape as we're going through it. So step 1, cut it down. If it's too long, shorten it. The ideal length, and you should check the wide receiver film guide that's attached below, but is about 3 to 4 minutes, maybe even 5, no longer than 8. A lot of coaches know very quickly whether or not they want to keep watching. This doesn't mean make it 45 seconds and hide everything. It means don't bury your best reps under fluff. I know that's cut off a little bit there. Step 2, make sure your first 5 clips show something that translates. That could be real separation. That could be movement quality. I'm going to add to this list. That could be ball skills, showing your hands, showing a crazy block, showing crazy effort. Just a crazy play that maybe you're really good in open space or you move really fast. Something that pops off the screen. This is not just production. Just because you get a catch or score a touchdown does not mean that it's actually worthy of being on your highlight tape. Step 3, add route variety. If your tape is only fades, go balls, jump balls, that's a problem. We've talked about this prior, because now the coach still doesn't know if you could actually run real routes. Something that my college coach did say about me when he recruited me is, initially I got lucky because my jump balls and everything were so good to the point where they kept watching. My college coach then watched the rest of my tape and figured out, oh, I can run the whole route tree. That's actually one of the first things he said in my little quote that they posted on Instagram when I finally committed. Coaches want to know you could actually run every single route. Step 4, remove reps that create doubt. This is a huge one. A lot of athletes keep clips because the outcome was good. Note that. But if the rep wasn't clean itself and it's raising questions, you need to cut it. Step 5, include at least one rep that shows trust. Again, this could be a good blocking clip. This could be effort when not targeted. This could be finishing through the whistle, or something that shows you are not just playing for touches, that you're actually a team guy. This matters more than most athletes think, and college coaches will be asking your high school coach about this stuff specifically. This is why you don't want to ever get caught having a loaf on film, because college coaches will start asking questions to your position coach. So now let's get into how to chop your film. I mentioned this a little bit prior. Let's talk about how to actually cut the clips. This seems basic, but a lot of players ruin solid film with bad editing. Here's how to chop it correctly. Show the full route. Do not cut the rep too early. So wait until the play is fully over. Make sure you're staying in frame. Do not use duplicate angles unnecessarily. Like if you have a really good play, you don't need to put 2 different angles of that play unless there's something dramatic that you can't see in the other angle. A lot of players do this to try to make their highlight tape longer. Coaches don't care, and they probably notice most of the time because they're not idiots, okay? So obviously prefer game film over camp film. Coaches don't really care about practice film. If you really don't have that many clips and you made a crazy play in a scrimmage, this or that, that's fine. That's full pads, but like 7v7 film, never seen that before. Things of that nature. Don't clutter the screen. It should be clear. You should be able to see yourself. The coach should know who he's looking at, who he's looking for. And don't make the highlight circle bounce all over the place. Just have a little arrow that points at you. That's it. I don't even like the circles. Like if this is you right here and there's a bunch of people around you, but let's say there's someone in the background, there's little Johnny right here, and you put a circle, coaches might get confused. So just put an arrow that's actually pointing at you. So college coaches know. I know I'm a great artist here. But moving forward, the coach needs to clearly see the route develop. If you chop too early, they miss the release or the stem in the mid route. If you chop it too late and drag every rep out forever, so when the play's over, you just continue to have that clip run. Now the tape's getting boring. College coaches are probably just going to turn it off. It's going to be more of a struggle to actually watch your tape and evaluate you. Believe it or not, they have a lot of kids to choose from. So there definitely is a balance. You need to show enough for the rep to make sense and move on. Show enough to actually show the coaches you are that guy, and that's it. Not anything more. Now let's get into the major film mistakes. Here are some of the biggest film mistakes I see all the time. Your film is too long. Again, it's only fade balls. You only have touchdowns. Remember, just because you score a touchdown doesn't necessarily mean it's a play that might translate to the college level. You have no intermediate routes. You have no release variation. You have no clips versus real competition. I know this isn't in your control as much. The better your competition, might sound backwards. Your technique always needs to be dialed in, but the better your competition, right? If you're film and you're actually getting open, the less you actually need technique. Now, you always need technique. Don't get this wrong. But if you're playing at like a 6A school in Pennsylvania or whatever it is, 7A in Texas, schools like that, the competition's better so coaches can adjust easier. Now, the lower level of competition, like myself, I played against low level competition in high school. Your film needs to be that much better. Because if you're dominating at this school, but it's the 6A and this is a 2A school, again, coaches will trust it more because this is a higher caliber of athlete. Okay. Your technique still needs to improve because your technique is what causes your film to again go up. Going back to the example, if it's 2A though, your competition's worse. You really need to focus on technique. So again, no clips versus real competition. That's kind of out of your control, but your technique to me needs to be that good. Should be focusing on technique regardless. Again, sloppy editing. I hope you're not just putting camp tape on there. It needs to be film, game film, varsity game film. No evidence of real separation. And too many reps where the athlete was open, but not because of anything translatable, like you're just running a guy and things of that nature. A lot of athletes think more is better, but it is not. Better is better. Quality over quantity. A clean, organized tape that makes evaluation easy will always beat a messy tape with more flashy plays. So here's how to improve your film week to week. Here's one of the most practical things I can give you. If you're trying to improve your film this season, stop thinking in vague terms like I need to get better, because that is useless. Every week you need to focus on 3 things. Write it down in your notepad, write it down in your notes app on your iPhone, whatever it is. One release. Pick one release and get better at it. One route. Pick one route and sharpen the details within that route. And one finish. Pick one finishing skill. Strong hands, catching through contact, tracking the ball, transition after the catch, yak. If you could focus on these things week after week after week and dial in, I'm going to be really good at this week. Maybe it's I'm going to run flat on my screen pass when I'm catching it. If you could pick one thing for each of these categories each week and continue to push yourself and continue to improve, then you're going to be cleaning up your weaknesses to the point where you don't really have a weakness. Then when you get to practice or games, start watching the films for those things. Now your improvement is actually measurable compared to the weeks prior. Now your development is actually structured, and over time that structure compounds. That's how film improves. Nothing through guessing. If you guys are working out solo and doing these random workouts and hoping your stats alone will carry you, then you are dead wrong. And although this video does give you standards and execution are 2 completely different things. And a lot of athletes will hear this, nod their head, and still stay stuck because there's a major difference between knowing what matters and actually building it. So for some reason, if you've made it this far and still haven't paid me money yet to help you get to that next level, let me show you exactly what we do. If you want personal film correction and structured wide receiver development, the link to apply will be in the description below. And for now, if you're gonna make the decision to not pay me, at least give me a follow on my Instagram below so you can still give yourself the best opportunities to maximize your potential. And if you're a serious receiver actually looking to become elite and want to see more content like this, like the recruiting side and the actual structure you should have around you to make sure you're an elite program, then give me a sub.